in regard to Waterworld, this is a movie starring Kevin Costner, and he is joined by the wonderful Dennis Hopper in one of his usual maniacal roles. Dennis Hopper, of course, is a member in my all-star overacting museum. A very honored position. I have rarely seen an actor overact as often as this man does, as effectively as he does, and amusingly. Once again, we see Dennis Hopper doing just that and building his reputation as really a superstar in this particular category. And I can't wait until I can open up this museum of overactors, celebrities, famous overactors, all-stars, perhaps even a theme park, and perhaps we can have some sort of a production stage so that visitors can see techniques for overacting, and perhaps some films of some of the spectacular overacting that has occurred, such as Peter Ustinov's Nero, Eli Wallach's character in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and so forth. And of course, as I mentioned in a previous review, the wonderful effort made by the late Raul Julia in Street Fighter. So we see Dennis Hopper also in this film, and we're glad to have him aboard. This particular film is a very pretty film, wonderful photography, I believe. Also, we had some real nice camera work, shots from above, interesting angles, and so forth. But even so, the vast expanse of the Pacific can get boring when it's only broken by the vast expanse of the sky. We see this world, and frankly, it's a tiresome world, a world that we would not care for. We understand, therefore, why so many people lusted to find the mythic dry land or dry world. This particular movie opens up with some interesting music and shots of the Pacific, presumably, and the camera kind of hones in on a catamaran that happens to be operated by Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner looks fit. He also is wearing a kind of singular outfit that looks somewhat peculiar to me. They had sort of a cotton printed pants with stripes of some sort. I could not make out exactly how he had put this thing together. It looks like fish scales, perhaps shark leather, and sewed by some method or other. And it may be fishnets. It's a very interesting outfit. And it seems that everybody in this particular world has some kind of similar outfit. It looks a little bit, to me, seedy and a little bit jerry-rigged. It's something that a street person could just as easily have put together. At any rate, he is wearing this sort of gear and operating a catamaran that also looks very hodgepodge, jerry-rigged deal, but it's pretty snappy and it turns out to be fairly interesting and innovative. It moves also pretty well out there, and we see Costner rather athletically in the old Errol Flynn mode, actually flying here, there, and the other way on his ship by means of ropes, pulleys, and so forth. And he makes it look a little fun, actually. Now, he himself is a very down-to-earth personality. He is phlegmatic, to say the least. He has a kind of a cold, ruthless side. Presumably this world is the one that requires some people to be this, maybe everyone to be this way. At any rate, it's a world that requires a certain bit of toughness and a certain unwillingness to give because apparently everybody's on the make. That being so, Costner has a prized plant, a lime plant that he's looking after, and it presumably is a very valuable thing to have because in this particular world, citrus fruit would be quite a necessity, something to counteract the danger of scurvy, and the need for vitamin C could be amply provided by those limes, I guess. It, at any rate, was something that he treasured. It was also apparent that he was quite skillful in the water because we see him going down and bringing up some stored gear from way below. And subsequently we find out that he has gills, which explains a lot in that regard. While he's underneath, another mariner, and in this particular movie, Costner is generically referred to as mariner. Another mariner occurs on the scene, and while the cat's away, the mice will play. This guy grabs the limes. Further, rapidly appearing on the scene are some characters on those vehicles. I'm not sure what they're called. That they're kind of like motorcycles in the water. I'm sure everybody is familiar with those things. Anyway, some people are coming called smokers. Smokers are villains in this particular movie, and they are coming hot on the catamaran. Nevertheless, he makes his way, and we follow him to what appears to be a fortress of some sort. It is called an atoll, and appears is basically a donut structure, kind of jerry-rigged looking also. Hard to say exactly how they put that together. A little scrap metal here and fishing net there, I suppose. But at any rate, they have some kind of little redoubt, which is circular and which passes for an urban area in this particular Waterworld. Costner goes there for the specific purpose of trading, and he's allowed to enter. The reason that he is allowed to enter is that he indicates that he has some earth, dry earth, to trade. Very welcomed commodity. And we note that it was treated much as gold dust, gold coins, nuggets were treated many years ago. And Costner, however, when he gets into the atoll and trades his dry dirt for what is the going currency in this particular establishment, credits, some sort of chip. We then follow him as he kind of provisions himself, fresh water apparently, possibly some sort of a tomato bush, some sort of gear or other that he needs, and his catamaran to have a happy life. And although the word happy does not really seem to ring true in this particular world, I'll say a pleasant stay in his cat. In this particular atoll, we meet some of the characters that play a significant part throughout most of the movie. We find a man with long, blonde, flowing hair, kind of a leonine-looking sort, a brigand with an insinuating way. We meet the love interest, the woman known as Helen, and a little girl who at first I took to be her daughter, Enola. A girl who likes to draw, and her drawing seems a little bit prophetic in the way. She seems to be something of a seer. And in this way, she reminded me a little bit of Amy, the ape we met in Congo, who also was very gifted with a pen. Now, this little girl drew pictures which sometimes reminded me a little bit of the cave drawings in the southern French area and parts of Spain, and at other times were like stick drawings that you would expect a totally unskilled child to do. So it was kind of hard to make a real decision about the talent here, but at any rate, we feel that she was basically in the same league with Amy. Now, she also had on her back a tattoo, which we come to learn is perhaps a map to dry land. And this makes the little girl, or at least her back, the skin, the tattooed skin, quite important, and the gentleman with the long flowing blonde hair wants that map. Now, we learn subsequently that he is an agent of Dennis Hopper, who kind of a right-hand man, actually, if you can be such in this milieu. Anyway, there is also a kind of a daffy, crazy, cackling old man in this particular movie who is somehow or other related to Helen and Enola. And there's a lawman here. It kind of reminds you of the Wild West a little bit there. Kind of a stout fellow who basically approaches Costner and tells him, you better keep the peace, you know, because if you don't, I'm coming down hard on you, and that sort of deal. We run a peaceful city here in Dodge. So the business was taken care of. But unfortunately for Costner, it was discovered that he has gills behind his ears and webbed toes. So therefore, the people screamed out, a rather international crew, I might add, which is interesting after a few hundred years in the waters. After Kevin Costner is exposed as a man with a gill, he is promptly arrested. They want to put him to death, but the lawman prevails and basically says this man has done nothing. But at any rate, the people were certainly intent on doing him in. They put him into a cage, and he's sort of locked there. And Costner is left dangling in his cage just as the whole atoll becomes under attack by Dennis Hopper and his crew of smokers. Now, why they're called smokers, I do not know, but since they seem to be smoking cigarettes all the time, I think it's pretty safe to guess that there's a reference here to that. Particular crew of smokers under Hopper had guns and rather fancy weaponry. The people they opposed generally had nothing more than spears and blades and things of that kind, so it was very one-sided. The old man that we met manages to escape, and of all things, a balloon. Everything happens so quickly that Helen and Enola do not make it onto the balloon as it lifts higher and higher above the atoll. They go to Costner, and Costner at this time is almost submerged in a slime, a kind of a yellowish, revolting-looking sludge, a sludge in which the deceased members of the atoll had been buried, and he is saved by Helen. And the reason she saves him is that he, in turn, will save her and Enola. And this he promises to do, and indeed this he does. And they get out upon the catamaran, and he is concerned because of the added weight and the added mouths to feed and so forth. He thinks maybe the little kid should be thrown overboard. And We take this not to be a joke either, because at this point in time, he certainly is a utilitarian and a rather cold one at that. His personal survival is the main thing on his mind. Now he is at one point approached by Helen, who is a young, pretty woman, not too young, not a teeny bopper by any means, but she has on one of these jerry-rigged outfits herself that she loosens a latch or something. The whole contraption falls down around her ankles and so forth, so she's quite naked and basically offering herself to the mariner, Kevin Costner, as a kind of a bribe not to kill the girl and the little girl, and to throw her overboard, and also to take them where they want to go. So in a way, we're reminded of the Sally Fields effort in behalf of her son, Forrest Gump, another selling of flesh for a child. Even so, now as it happens, the mariner, Kevin Costner, turns down this particular offer. This is not easy to believe, actually, but this he does, and the reason was, we learn subsequently, when they do become romantically involved, was that he sensed that she did not really want him, did not really care about him, or anything of this kind. Thereafter, final events occur. Costner is placed in a tough situation. Dennis Hopper is able to rally his people. They have the girl as a kind of a hostage on a rust bucket relic of a ship, which we learn subsequently is the Exxon Valdez. Dennis Hopper got off some funny lines. He referred to Kevin Costner as the gentleman guppy. Interestingly, they get away. The rust bucket blows apart. The old man is able to interpret the map, and indeed they find dry land.